Hi, this is Kari with Consistently Creative Crew. I am not able to attend live when Cheryl is teaching the summer break project recipe, so I thought I would jump on and make a recording of doing this digitally from start to finish. So the first thing I was going to do when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the project recipe and looking what we have. It looks like this is a very symmetrical layout. You can see that the left page is a mirror image of the right page. I've had a few questions about downloading the digital content from the Creative Memories website. And getting all of that into Artisan. So I wanted to start with that this evening. So one of the first things that I do is when I have purchased some digital content from Creative Memories is I download those to my download folder. And you can see here I've got three different zipped files that came with my purchase. One is a matte pack, one is a paper pack, and one is an Elements. So the other thing that I do when I get these zip files is I have what I call a temporary digital art folder on my desktop. And I have a folder in there for embellishments and other, and another folder for paper. And you can see right now they're empty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the embellishments and put them in this temporary embellishments folder, and all of the papers and put them into the paper folder. That'll make it a little bit easier when I'm importing this content into Artisan. So the mats are, it's kind of up to you whether you're going to put them in as paper or embellishments. I tend to bring them in as embellishments because that's how I use them. So I think that's actually the easiest way to do it. So there I've copied all of those mats into the embellishment folder. Now I'm going to do the paper pack. I'm going to select all of them with Control A, and then I'm going to drag and drop them, and you can see copy into paper. And that didn't take very long at all. You can see they're all there. And if I go back to my download folder, you can see all of the elements. So I've got Elements Summer Break. I'm going to go ahead and copy those into the embellishments. And then there's another one. So those are being copied into embellishments. And just taking a quick look, I only have 12 by 12 paper in the paper folder, and I've got all these embellishments, including some mats and all the title stickers, etc., in the embellishments folder. So now let's take a look at what to do with that in Artisan. So from the welcome screen, you're going to go into Manage Content. And I am going to create an art kit. And I'm going to do that under Creative Memories new company. This is going to be called Summer Break. I'm going to click OK. And you can see I've got this new content that I have here. I can add import papers or embellishments into here. This is why I separate them initially into two different folders. So I'm going to add papers by clicking on papers. And it gives me a pop-up window to select where that is. And since this is paper, I'm going to go ahead and again, Control A, select all of them and open. And then it will import all of those into Summer Break, and it will identify all of them as being papers. And now I'm going to click on embellishments, and I'm going to do the same thing, only this time I'm going to click on that embellishments folder, do Control A to select all of them and open. And this is why I separate them when I initially download them, because sometimes the papers there might be more than just that one folder with papers in it. Sometimes we have vellum sheets, sometimes we have designer papers, sometimes we have tone on tone. And I find it just a lot easier to stick them all in a folder and put them all there. And then I can import everything into the Artisan as digital content. So now I have this content, and you can see I've identified it as Creative Memories new company. I am a longtime digital content collector. So I have them separated by old company and new company. That way I can kind of identify what is currently being used. So now I've got this Art Kit Summer Break. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And I'm going to take a look at my layout. So I already pre-designed it. And again, let's just take a quick look at it. So we have a plan before we start. You can see the left page and the right page are mirror images. We've got a background paper, which they have white. They've got this blue rectangle, a green rectangle, and an orange rectangle. So one thing to take note, the green here, we have the dimensions here is 5 by 12. Sorry, the blue is 5 by 12. The green is 1.5, so 0.5 by 12. And the orange is 2 by 12. So I'm going to make those 3 triangles first in my layout. And I'm going to go ahead and just do it one page at a time. And I will go ahead and get started. So let's look at just one page. I'm going to pull that on my other screen. Okay, so I'm going to insert a shape. I'm going to insert a rectangle. So the first one was 5 by 12, and it was blue when they colored it. So I'm just going to use a blue just to kind of keep it similar to what they had. And I'm going to go ahead and click Create. And you can move it right up to the top corner, or you can use the quick access toolbar and put it at X equals 0 and Y equals 0. Then the next one was a green rectangle that was 1/2 inch by 12 inches. So this one was 1/2 inch by 12 inches. And it was green. So I'm going to pick a green. I don't know, not that neon. Let's try that one. Okay. And again, I want this to be tucked up right next to the other one. And the last one, if you remember, was orange, and it was 2 by 12. So let's do that, 2 by 12. And that one was orange. It was a really light orange. Okay. So here we've got that. So now let's take a quick look at what the rest of the project recipe is. So now I've got this background with the 3 strips. Then there's this additional strip here, which is actually a punch out shape, which I'm going to save until the end. But so I'm going to do the other parts first. So let's do this green piece. Let's see what the size of that is. So that is 11 by 6, and it has 3 photo shapes on it. So 11 by 6, let's do that. Rectangle, that's 11 by 6. And this one was green. And I'm not exactly sure how far from the bottom it is, but I'm thinking this is like an inch strip. This is 1.5 inches, or a 1/2 inch. So maybe a total of 1.5 inches from the bottom. So we maybe want the bottom to be at about 10.5. We may have to adjust that later, but we can at least go with it for now. Then there were 3 photo shapes here, 3¼ by 5¼ So let's add those. So insert an empty frame. This is width 3.25 and height 5.25. So there's 3 of those. And now I'm just going to copy and paste. And there's a couple of ways of copying and pasting. You can go up to the home ribbon and copy, and then click paste twice. And you end up with 3 of them. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to center these vertically onto that green. So I'm going to do that. And then I would like this to be spaced out and distributed horizontally so that the spacing is between them. I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to group all 3 of these, and then I'm going to center it from right to left with the quick access toolbar. So now they should be as aligned as I think I'm going to get them. So let's take a look at the last part. We have a photo mat and a photo, and the photo is the same dimensions as the other photos. It's just a horizontal. But let's see what these other two pieces are. Those are 4x6. So those are the orange. So let's go back to our insert shape. 6x4. And those were orange. Okay, so, and now I need another empty frame, and this one needs to be 5¼ by 3¼ So let's go ahead and do our centering with the 2nd and the 5th. All right, so how are we doing? How is it looking? I think we've got all of the elements except for this shape down here. So there are a couple of different things that we can do. So we can utilize something that might have come in the content, and that was summer break. So if we have a border that came with our content that we want to use, let's say we use this one. This is looks like lemons. So we can add this to the page, and we've got our border. And so if our kit already has a border that we can use, and it looks like there's a few of them in here in this kit, we can always utilize those. If we have borders that we want to use from another kit, we could do that. Or we could cut a border shape out of our out of some paper. So if you want to cut a border shape out of some paper, I suggest starting with something that's like, you want it to be 12 inches wide, and let's maybe try it 1½ inches tall. And since it doesn't matter, we can always change the fill of that. We can go back in and do that later. So to cut a border, we're going to go into cut, cutters, straight, shaped edge. So it will ask if you would like to flatten, and you can say yes. And there are a lot of shapes that come with our content when we first get Artisan. So you get in your built-in kit, you've got all of these shapes that come with it. These edges, I'm sorry, but there's also shapes. You could use any of these shapes and have it put this in as your cut. So let's say I pick, let's pick this folder. Actually, let's do an edge to begin with so you can kind of see. So we've got, if I select this shape, you kind of see I have this, you can see the image here, the outline. I can change how there's space. So there's more space between them, and here they're touching. I can change the aspect ratio. So as I change the aspect ratio, they change their height to width, and you can see that. I could flip it vertically. So I have the negative versus the positive. So you can also change the width of this. So if I wanted this to be like 1, you can see how that's going to make it a little bit different. That was 0.1. It's much smaller, much tighter. So there's a lot of ways you can adjust that. So I am just going to, you can also do most of these adjustments using your mouse, but I'm just going to do this for right now. And this is just going to give me one edge with a shape on it. So I am going to keep the unshaded area, and I'm going to cut. And you can see I have that. Now I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to magnify it a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. I would ideally like my hill peaks and valleys to kind of line up. So You can kind of see what we have here. And I could, of course, use some rulers to try to ensure that I'm lining it up very precisely. And I'm going to keep both areas here just in case. So now I've got this. I'm going to change this to another color so I can see it a little bit better. Okay, so now let's go back out. So you can see how I have created a different kind of shape just using my cutters. So that's another idea of what you can do. So now let's take this. I'm going to go back to my original. So they use some paper here. It looks like there was this dark blue paper. It looks like, I'm not entirely sure what that paper is. So let me see here. They use these 3 papers. So let's go ahead and go in and try to see if I can kind of get the similar paper. So it looks like this one was this dark blue. So when I've selected the shape, I click on the paper, select the drop down arrow and say fill selected shape. It'll give me an idea of what it's going to look like. I can adjust that if I need to. And that is that one. Then if I go in, this was this, it looks like a checkered plaid for, it's this one. And this one. And then finally this paper, they've got this one. It looks like they might have used the back side of it because it is, yeah, they use the reverse. So the reverse of the red checker is what they used on that one, which the reverse on the red checker, you don't really know what it is when you're looking at this. So let's fill in some of the other ones. The green paper was this Good Times. And I think they might have used the reverse here. So, yeah, they reversed it. So as best as I can tell, this one had the kites and this one had the different colors. So I think this one is this tricolors. And then this one is the kites. And this one was that gingham. I'm just going to go with that for right now. I'm going to nudge that up here. You know, I think this paper really does get kind of lost with everything else. What did they use as their base? It was just white. So I'm going to go ahead and this one, and let's do this. Yep. All right. So now I've basically got my left page set up. And remember at the beginning, I said that this is a mirror image sheet. So what I'm going to do, instead of going and recreating this, now that I think I've got my papers fairly well set, I'm going to just mirror image this page. So I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go here. And so now when I'm looking at the page over in the right side panel, if I click on the drop down arrow, it allows me to either insert blank pages, insert a pre-designed page, duplicate the page, which is good, but it also allows us to insert a mirror image of this page, which is even better. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and insert a mirror image of this page. And now I'm going to flip them because I want my right and my left to be oriented correctly. So now if I go and I look at 2 bound pages, they should line up perfectly. I'm not sure I'm loving this yellow paper. I am thinking it needs to be something else. I'm not sure that I'm gonna end up that might be better, but you can make those changes anytime you would like as you go through the process. So this is the summer break project recipe. And once you've done all of this, you can reuse this. You can save it as a template, whatever will work best for you. So I hope that this was a good look at how to create this project recipe digitally using Artisan 6 and the Creative Memories Summer Break digital art. Thanks for watching.